The opinions expressed on the following audio program are solely those of the host and the guests. Burner Podcast is an independently produced, not-for-profit show and is not associated with the Burning Man organization or its subsidiaries. The views expressed are not representative of the entire Burning Man community and are presented here for entertainment purposes only. In short, calm the fuck down. It's just a podcast.
All right, it's episode number 101, and it is 85 days till the man burns as of this recording. What a week, what a month, what a fucking year. Things have been absolutely nuts for me in the most amazing possible ways. I got back from South Africa a couple of weeks ago, spent one night in Orange County with my dadu, and then made it back home for exactly 1 hour so that I could throw some things in an overnight bag so that I could shoot off to Vegas for a full-on frat boy bachelor party. And then shot back to San Diego for a meeting with my collective and lifestyle brand. And then immediately after that, said meeting shot out to a Perky Parts Desert Renegade. Then back to San Diego again, where for the past 2 weeks, I've been on an intensive, immersive photography gig that's got me like walking around on the roof of the airport again and getting hit with like SWAT team practice paintball rounds. So I say I haven't had a breather yet, but let's be honest, like I don't know if I want one. It's been really, really pretty badass. Africa Burn was an awesome experience. The whole trip itself was just absolutely glorious. Made these amazing friends all the way on the other side of the planet, at the end of the globe. You know, it was just amazing. We do have one more Africa Burn related interview on deck. So either the next or the following episode will be a chat with Mike Rule, the build lead on Africa Burn's 2019 clan. But today, we're going back to San Francisco, or Hayward, to be more specific for listeners who aren't familiar with the geography there. Hayward is actually across the bay from San Francisco. Hayward, Oakley, Berkeley, Oakland, Berkeley. Let's try that again. Hayward, Oakland, Berkeley, etc. They're all across the bay, and that's where a lot of the projects and the camps that you've seen on Playa are actually based, because living in San Francisco is getting more and more impossible. I honestly feel like San Fran might become like the next Monaco or something. So we recorded today's interview, super fun interview, by the way, at the home of Super Suze, the host and producer of Into the Fire podcast, with whom I stayed for a week and geeked out with really just two of us geeking out a lot about podcasting on the daily. So strap in, buckle your seats, get your shit out of the passenger aisles and place them safely under your seat, because today you're going to get intimately acquainted with the flight crew of the Airpusher collective. The Airpusher peeps are a DJ crew, an event production team, and they're the ones who bring you, of course, the beautiful Airpusher art car. The Airpusher is that steampunk Zeppelin that you've probably attempted to point out to your friends before the four of you burst into laughter trying to figure out which insane thing you're pointing out. Is it the first insane thing, the other insane thing next to it, or the flying insane things just beyond the fourth insane thing? Who fucking knows? Is one of them shooting off pink rainbows? You're going to get to meet Captain Jay, Carissa, and Faye of the Airpusher Collective. As always, we'll get to know the individuals a bit, the people behind the playa, if you will, their stories, and how the original ideas that would eventually become the Airpusher art car came together. There were pancakes involved at center camp. I do know that's an important part of the story. Listen, I think I've bitched a lot, by the way, on this show about how much I'd absolutely hate to be responsible for an art car. This is an important side note, because I swear to God, everyone that brings an art car spends literally the entire burn tinkering with it. And this interview kind of further solidified exactly that bias I've always had on this particular subject, which, by the way, this is super important, makes me even more bend over backwards grateful for the people that do bring art cars to the playa. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. 1,000 times thank you to all of you who are willing and even in some masochistic way excited about bringing art cars to the playa. You mean the world to me, and I can't thank you enough for all the magical experiences we have because you spend all week tinkering with that art car. We'll talk a bunch about community building, a topic near and dear to my heart, of course. We get some hilarious stories. Then we get to discuss the event production movement that grew out of the community that was built around this amazing art car. The annual Steampunk Masquerade is their flagship event. Ooh, what an appropriate term, flagship. The Steampunk Masquerade is now in its 7th year, and it's a big public block party. A good buddy of mine, Greg, actually, who lives out in North Beach in San Francisco, he kind of accidentally stumbled into going last year, I think, and he was telling me that it's one of the best production events that he's ever attended. And he was really blown away by it. So coincidentally, if you are catching this episode right upon release, the next Steampunk Masquerade is happening on June 15th at Public Works in San Francisco, and it's featuring DJ Dan and the Scum Frog and many, many others. It's a huge lineup. We'll have a link to it over in the show notes. But fret not, there is no need for you to extrovert just yet, because right now you get to stay in your headphones and meet the Airpusher Collective. And after the conversation, you can hear the set that I've been bopping my head to as I write these intro notes. It is one from Captain J himself, which was recorded on Friday afternoon of Burning Man 2018 at the Fantasy Island party from atop, of course, the Airpusher herself. Today's episode is entitled Airpusher Collective. I'm pushing real good. I go by Mr. Arash, even though nobody calls me Mr. Welcome to Burner Podcast.
On the first part of the journey, I was looking at all the life. There were plants and birds and rocks and things. There was sand and hills and rain. The first thing I met was the fly with the bugs and the sky with no clouds. The heat was hot and the ground was dry, but the air was full of sound. I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can't remember your name, because there ain't no one for to give you no name.
Are we ready?
We are ready.
Are we starting a
Yeah,
podcast?
we started already.
Is this a
I've
thing
been
that we
actually
do?
recording. It's something that I do. I make people think that I'm setting up the audio equipment, but I've been recording you the whole time.
Dun dun dun.
It's all that stuff you were saying earlier about that quote. What was that quote?
Oh, would you like to hear this
I
quote?
would love to hear the quote.
Okay, this is not my quote. Shout out to the Horse Whisperer on Twitter, who came up with this quote.
The Horse Whisperer?
Yeah, the horse, but the Horse Whisperer.
This person got the... first of all, I'm amazed that they got that handle.
Right?
Like
Yeah.
HOARSE?
Yes.
Or H... Okay.
Yes. Okay, here we go. The Horse Whisperer. Unity isn't agreement. Unity is overlooking imperfections and disagreements while working towards a shared purpose.
Oh, that is an excellent quote to start today's show with.
Right?
Yeah.
That's kind of like all of what having a Burning Man camp is about.
Good call. Yeah, I'm really excited to talk to you guys about. You gave me like a little bit of pre-fill on. So I became familiar with Airpusher Collective because we had Black Velveteen's set featured on a previous episode, and Louis, who is associate producer for Burner Podcast, a lot of times what he does is like we get like sets to connect with the conversations, and he'll kind of like intuitively kind of see like what sound fits with the conversation. So I think we featured the set by Black Velveteen on it was like last year's post-burn episode. It was like a Burning Man review episode. So it was really great. And she told us that story about Rangers coming on to make some joke, and then other people thinking like that the Rangers were actually boarding the Airpusher art car and like we're going to shut down the party or something.
This is great. I don't even know the story.
Cool.
That's how you know you have a very successful interactive art project. Just when fun stuff happens, you have no idea.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
No, I know exactly what you're describing. In a thing that I'm involved with, I was showing somebody like photos. I'm like, this is the most exciting moment for me. Look at all these photos. I am not in any of these. That means it's doing its own thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I want to start with each of you introducing yourselves so that the listeners can associate a voice with a name. And I always like to ask some sort of a silly question. What's your favorite kind of cheese?
You're going to get some good answers to that particular question right now. My name is Jay, a.k.a. Captain Jay, a.k.a. Kitty Paws. It will be going into my 16th burn this year. I am a co-founder of Airpusher Collective. It's the art car and Burning Man camp and musical collective of DJs and dance music enthusiasts that's been doing a thing around a steampunk airship for the last 6 years. I also love cheese so much, but I can't eat it right now because I have gallstones in my gallbladder.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's terrible. And I
That's
actually had my
tragic.
first gallstone attack from eating cheese.
Oh.
So I have not eaten a bite of cheese since then. I'm actually going to have gallbladder removal surgery in a week from today.
Wow.
So
I
then-
see why you're avoiding answering that by telling us all that stuff about the collective first.
Yeah. So that is my thing.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to know off the
No,
bat?
we'll get back to it.
Great. Okay. Let me pass the mic.
My name is Carissa, and I don't have a playa name, which I'll be going to my 10th burn, so I don't know what that says about me.
It's a unique name.
Yeah, Carissa, it's good enough.
I don't have one either. My name is fucking weird enough too.
Yeah. And I am part of this ridiculous Burning Man collective. I am on the Airpusher board of directors. I'm the president of the board, so I help manage the finances and keep all these ridiculous people in check when it comes to spending the money. Yeah. And cheese. Yeah, no, I don't like cheese at all.
Wow, really? Oh my god, we're 2 down so far. Yeah.
No cheese.
All right. Hey, don't break my heart.
I am Faye. I guess we're doing this. I've been doing Burning Man for 6 years, and I do auto mechanic stuff and variety show stuff for our events with Airpusher. And I like lighter, creamy, buttery cheeses like brie, something like that, something soft.
Yeah. We're on the same page.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't like it too stinky,
Yeah.
the smell, but I mean like the creamier stuff, the softer stuff.
hmm
So, I want to let you guys know this is actually an entire podcast about cheese. So we're just going to leave you two out. Me and
Great,
Faye
I'll
are
go
gonna
home
get
now.
into it. This is how I trick people into telling them it's a Burning Man podcast, but it's all about cheese, really. And we're actually at Super Suze's home, a host of Into the Fire podcast. She's in the room as well. She might randomly yell out things. Yeah.
Come sit next to me. You could share the mic.
Yeah, by all means. So there's the part of the story that's definitely, I think, going to be most interesting about Airpusher Collective is that there are more and more entities that are coming out of the Burning Man community that are establishing out in default in various different ways. Some are going the nonprofit route, some are going, full-on businesses. And in a time where we're having so many conversations about like commodification, decommodification, it's really interesting to watch how different people are doing it right. So I want to like really get into like the meat of where you guys have been and where we've ended up. So Airpusher, it started with an art car. Is that correct? Right. Is that the beginning? So I want to go back to right before that. 16 years, you said.
That's right.
All right. What were you doing before you discovered Burning Man? What was going on in Jay's life?
I was a Bay Area kid, grew up here. I was in university. I was throwing parties. I was a DJ on vinyl records, playing trance music. And super back
I'm
in the
always
day
excited
style.
when I get trance guys. Where is all the trance at Burning Man?
Yeah, that died a long time ago.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, dubstep killed trance.
Damn it! More reasons to hate dubstep.
Yeah. So I was doing these parties with my friends, and I just had this experience where my best friend, who is a DJ, he went to his first burn, and another mutual friend we do parties with, he went to the burn, and they both had that experience of like in a dust storm, listening to Carl Cox on the dance floor, had no idea they were there. Dust masks come down. Oh my God, Gore! Oh my God, Mike! Ah! And they both came back like, Jay, you have to go. It's like, it's fucking hippies doing drugs in the desert. I don't need to do that. I throw parties here. It's fine. But of course, you know,
I can do them right here in the Bay Area.
Yeah, they talked me into it. So I was like not even a college graduate or just recently college graduate, just figuring out my way in life.
What were you
trying to
majoring
create community and throw parties.
What were you majoring in?
Physics.
Okay, of course.
Yeah, you were a good high school student too, I bet.
I was an average high school student. They wouldn't let me into physics in high school, and I took it personally. So I became a physics major.
Wait, they can deny you physics in high school?
I went to a private Catholic high school.
Okay,
Yeah, they can if you don't qualify.
interesting. Yeah, they're like, you get back to praying.
Right. Yeah.
Praying away for your
Exactly.
sins.
Father Ben.
Okay.
I think you have to have pre-cal,
Yeah.
either have or concurrent enrollment.
Yeah. Enough of the sinful science crap.
Zeus knows.
Okay, so first burn, you get out there, and obviously something shifts in your experience of reality,
Yeah.
or not. I don't know. Maybe you went back a few more times.
No, I mean, I was definitely hooked as soon as I went there. I don't know if it's what hooks everybody for their first time. I'm a creative person. I like to create experiences with people and for people. And so that just turned me on instantly. It's like, oh my God, look at all this shared experience that we have. Look at this thing that we're creating that we're sharing with other people. Now we have all the stuff to take home and bond about for the next year. Like, this is amazing. And I actually didn't have any kind of big mental shifts. I didn't do drugs at the time. Not saying that you have to do drugs to have a big mental shift. But I was stone cold sober for my first 5 burns. And it was all about what can we create for other people? How can we enhance their experience? And then what can we get up to together that kind of strengthens our internal bonds?
Nice.
And I just found all of that in spades.
What year was that? What is 16 years ago?
Well, so I haven't gone 16 years concurrently. So my first year was 2001.
Okay.
It was
2001.
to date that as far as Burning Man epics, it was the first year the man was on a platform. So I missed the hay bales.
Okay.
The year before I went was the hay bale year.
Okay.
So the big A, the Burning Man on the big A, that was my first year.
Dig it. Okay. Faye, where were you in 2001?
God, I don't. Well, speaking of
Goldfish number 2.
Catholic school, I was probably in church.
Okay. All right.
Yep, I was a good little Christian boy.
Yeah.
Grew up in Concord, and I followed the path for a long time.
Where is Concord?
It's just east of here, about half an hour.
Yeah, you scrunched your face as if like, I don't know where Concord is. Yeah, fair enough.
It's Bay Area
Yeah.
ish.
Yeah. So it looks like there's some root experiences that you guys both had in church and kind of a conservative upbringing.
Yeah, I think Faye had a more intense experience than I did.
Yeah. I've actually found that there are a lot of us sort of, if you will, reformed Christians that find themselves in the Burning Man community in our camp as well. And I think there's a lot of good that sort of comes out of that. Like these frequently are, particularly the men who tend to be a little more in touch with their heart and their feelings, are trained to be so in that religious upbringing. There's a lot of good that comes from that with the craziness.
Yeah. I think it's probably there's like the seed was planted about like a comfort and interest in community, and maybe that was just the community was designed around something different.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Carissa, where were you?
Oh, I was in high school.
Okay.
Yeah. Like these guys feel old.
Were you cool?
No. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons that I was drawn to Burning Man is that I always felt like normal people were boring and I wanted to do different things. And so I think my friends in high school were weird and I was weird and we were all weird together and we had a great time. It was awesome. And then I'm from Canada and I grew up in Alberta, and I would classify Alberta as the Texas of Canada.
Okay.
So
Everybody's
oil and
extra proud
gas,
to be there.
Cowboys, pretty conservative. It was the most conservative province in Canada. And so when I went to Burning Man, it was like, whoa, wait, I can live my life this way? People just do art and be weird, and there are people here who are in their 60s, and this is, you get to do that when you're 60. I don't have to be normal at some point. Oh yeah, sign me up.
Yeah. You haven't expired yet. Yeah. No, I'm with you. All right. So I want to let's go forward a couple of years. At what point, Jay, did the art car come about?
Oh man, we're going forward a lot.
Really?
Yeah. So
so let's not do that yet. What
Okay.
built up to the art car? What were you doing in the meantime before the art car?
So the first year, 2001, I co-founded a theme camp called Pancake Playhouse, where we do pancake and soft rock for everyone. We're open 9ish to noonish, and the initial iteration of it was all a front. Like we put that on our application, and we wanted to get into center camp because it was back when you could do that really easily. But we're really gonna do a dance party because me and my friends were all DJs, and we're like, let's do a dance party where there are no dance parties. There's no dance parties in center camp. So we're going to do a dance party in center camp, and we're just going to say that we do pancakes and soft rock, but really at nighttime, we're going to rage and we're going to play all this techno music. It's going to be awesome. And
Wow.
yeah, totally. Yeah.
We just pinpointed who ruined Burning Man.
It was us. It was us. It was totally us back in 2001. We were killing it then. But unfortunately, no, we can't take credit for winning Burning Man because we quickly found out that there are no dance parties in center camp because no one parties in center camp.
Yeah.
And they just go away. So our very first party on Tuesday night, we're like, yeah, we're having a party. We couldn't even keep our own campmates at our party. Everybody just left and went to the Esplanade and went to 10 o'clock. And we're like, oh my God, this sucks. But what was awesome was the pancakes and the soft rock. And people really like to get served food at Burning Man, especially when there's no lines. And they need a break from all the techno music that's happening all the time. So the soft rock was a very comfortable reprieve. So we kind of stripped out all the dance stuff and just went hard, full sell into pancakes and soft rock, and it was super successful.
Yeah, it's still happening today.
It's still happening today. I don't know what
Pancake
the
Playhouse.
list
Wow.
is of longest running theme camps, but I can guarantee you we're in the top 10.
Wow.
100%. 100%. 2001 Pancake has not taken a break since then.
That's amazing. How many co-founders were there?
That are like at that time or that
Yeah.
are still doing it.
Or how many people were in your first group?
There was probably like 20, 25 of us. There was 5 or 6 like real kind of planners. And then we swelled out to like 20, 25.
Okay.
Burn.
Very cool.
So yeah, so I was doing that. That was great. It fulfilled my need for community. Fulfilled my need for providing service. It like the bang for the buck as far as like service provided versus effort given. It was primo. Like, we served a lot of people pancakes. A lot of people. We brought up about half a ton of dried pancake mix and just went through it all every year. But it didn't.
Half a ton.
Yeah, it never got to like, hey, I have this deep love for this kind of music. I want to be able to perform that. Also, I really like to build stuff, and I like to kind of iterate on a design and make things better. And there wasn't really much of an appetite in our camp for that kind of improvement. In fact, it was the other way. It's like, well, what's the least we can do to achieve this goal? So we would never meet off playa. We had literally one work day a year where we'd take everything out of storage, clean it, put it back in. People wanted to do less and less and less as far as frontage. We just had this one GP tent, and that's all we would do. And I'm like, what? Oh my God, like, let's do something. Like, let's build a cool shade structure, or, you know, let's make a pancake gun. I don't know. Let's do something fun and different. Let's push ourselves. And people just really didn't want to do that in that community. So now we come.
Yeah.
Now we
gotta ask about the pancake gun. Was there an actual idea for a pancake gun, or
don't
was
know.
that just something you were saying?
I mean, I will not take credit or blame for what might have happened 10 years ago.
What would happen with a pancake gun?
I'm.
Sounds a little.
My lawyer has told me that I can't talk about this. Sorry. Next
Lawyers that are
question.
sitting in the room, by the way.
Next question. Next question.
So okay. So the Airpusher art car. What year was that?
So that was goldfish number. Faye and I, we have this running joke that I'm goldfish number 1 and he's goldfish number 2 because we both have terrible memories.
I don't remember when that started though.
Or are you goldfish number 1 and I'm goldfish number 2?
I don't remember.
2012.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You guys were
2013.
developing it in 2012, and then
Yeah.
2013 brought it out. Is that?
I met him in 2012, and then 2 months later,
Yeah.
he started.
In 2012. Okay, so by the way, years-ish is okay. I'm just trying to get like a chronology. So you guys met in 2012, you two.
Correct.
And 2 months later, you said you started the Airpusher art car.
We met at the burn.
Okay.
We met at the burn in 2012, and then 2 months later, he was like, "Oh, this guy came up to me. He has this art car, his base vehicle. It's already got a second deck welded onto it. I think we're gonna make an art car. We're gonna play some music on it." I was like, "Okay, sounds good. Have fun with that."
Oh, okay. I want to come back to that. Faye, had you been burning at this point?
My first burn was 2013.
Okay,
We didn't
so-
know each other yet.
Year after. Okay, got it.
I started in 2014 with Airpusher.
Perfect. So tell us about how that started to come together.
Yeah, so
By the way, how did you two meet?
Oh. We met eating pancakes
Obviously.
at Pancake Playhouse.
I may or may not have shot her with the pancake gun.
That may or may not have existed.
Yeah, cannot confirm or deny.
No comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one nice thing about Pancake Playhouse is the playa would come to you. So, we had 2 GP tents full of people just relaxing, eating pancakes. So you could mosey on up next to nice looking, really awesome people and have a conversation.
Yeah. That's why I like bartending, because I feel like I'm either at somebody else's bar bullshitting or they're coming to my bar bullshitting. We're doing the exact same thing regardless of which side of the bar I'm on.
Exactly.
So pancakes, same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly the same thing.
So the art car.
So yeah, so I was at this point where I was like, I am not being challenged by my Burning Man experience. I have so much more to do. I have so much more to give. I want to really kind of like do something different and fun and awesome. So Edmundo, who many of us all, of course, many of us all, we all know and love Edmundo. He had been doing an art car for a couple years with a different crew of people. And that crew, for whatever reason, had disbanded. And it was just him with the art car. And so he called me. It's like, hey, Jay, I have this art car. It's at NIMBY. What do you think? You want to do an art car with me? I was like, fuck yeah, I want to do a fucking art car. That sounds amazing. We can put music on it, and we can play music, and we can drive around the desert
With
and
music.
give people rides, and it's
And
gonna
DJ.
be so
Music.
fun. And I do this other camp, but that I can totally do both because there's like no responsibilities for this other camp. And having an art car is pretty easy. And I won't even need to bring a bike because I have an art car and I can just drive around. And it's gonna be so fun. And that's how that started.
With a half a ton of pancake mix to go with that.
Yeah, I know.
We could mount the pancake gun on the car.
Well, tell us about the car. What was the car at that time that he was putting it? Was it the Airpusher as we know it? What was it?
So it was a beat up ghetto as fuck. Can I swear on this podcast?
Yeah, I've been cursing this whole time.
All right, cool. Sorry for any young listeners out there.
No.
It's a beat up ghetto as fuck 1985 Dodge D350 X Caltrans work truck
Okay.
with a second deck welded onto it and not much else. So
The advantage of that vehicle is it's hella beefy because it was a Caltrans truck. So it can carry a lot of weight and it's very strong structurally. It's also an old piece of shit.
Yeah.
I remember it being at NIMBY when you guys first got it and thinking, oh my God, that thing is huge. It's like kind of half tank, half diesel, humongous truck. It's really big and solid and like steel. It's incredibly like humongous.
Good for the playa.
Oh,
How did the engine hold up out there?
well, we took it out. That was
Well, hold on. Okay, so what did you do with it, by the way? So it had a second deck on it. Was there a design?
it was designed
No. So, oh man. Okay, where to start? So, okay, this guy TR, he's an electrician. He bought the original vehicle from Caltrans at auction. He used it for his work truck. And then he's like, this is a piece of shit. I don't want to drive this around anymore. Let's take it to the desert and party on it because that's going to be all it's good for. So he had a friend who was like a metal shop manager, welder guy who got them all these like great deal on steel pieces and engineered out this second deck with an OSHA-approved staircase to get up it. And they put the second deck on. They call it Darwin's Taxi. And it was just black and yellow with the second deck because back in the day in Burning Man, you could do that. And you could have kind of like not the most well-executed art for your art car. And the DMV wouldn't really get too far up your ass about it.
Did you say Darwin's Taxi?
Darwin's Taxi.
That means what I think it means? Or is it a person named Darwin? Like Darwin's Law Taxi?
What
Am I the only one that got that?
Yeah.
Darwin. Well, it's
Yes.
Darwin's Law. Yeah, the survival of the. Yeah. Okay. All right.
That's exactly right. Exactly what you thought it meant.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. So they were like, wow, having an art car is a lot of work. Fuck this. We're getting rid of this thing after their first year. And so this Edmundo got it on Craigslist for free. And he took it with the crew. They kind of like wrapped it in silver fabric for a couple of years. And that's kind of like all it was.
Yeah.
But that's where the Airpusher name first came in. They came with the name Airpusher. So it was Airpusher then. And that kind of fell apart. And it came to NIMBY. And at NIMBY, it was just, there was no design. Parts of it were black and yellow from the taxi.
Yeah.
The upper deck had no skin on it. It was just like rails, and railings, and emptiness.
Yeah.
So the first thing we're like, okay, well, if we take this over, we need to make it look good, make it look like something.
Yeah.
It's kind of in the shape of a fish or a boat. There are a lot of boats. There are a lot of fishes. There are no airships. And so that's when the airship idea, like, hey, we can turn it into an airship. We'll put a balloon on top. We'll fill it with helium. It's going to be fucking awesome.
So it was named Airpusher before you did the airship idea.
That is correct.
What was the Airpusher reference? I didn't understand that.
Yeah, that's a great question. The previous crew who had done it, they were also DJs. And so it was more a reference to like, oh, we have great music coming out of our speakers, Airpusher.
Oh,
like
it's pushing air out.
Boom,
Okay.
Boom, boom, boom.
Got it. That's cool.
And so we kept that name, and then we became Airpusher Collective. So that's
interesting.
how we're going to mark the kind of different epochs of the thing. So Darwin's Taxi, Airpusher, Airpusher Collective. Okay. And at our first pitch meeting where we had this like really cool concept art with this steampunk airship, we had 2 balloons in the first concept art, double balloon. Who came to that meeting but the original creators of Darwin's Taxi?
Yeah.
And they got back involved because they're crazy people. They knew how much work this was. They knew how much work this was, and yet they came and joined back up again because they're gluttons. I didn't know. I had no idea what I was signing up for.
No, I think a certain level of masochism is something that everyone in this room has in common. That's why we keep going out there.
We do now.
Yeah.
And a little bit of ignorance goes a long way.
Yeah.
He thought it was going to be so easy.
I love that.
He thought it was going to be so easy. I think back on those days and the way he talked about it, and he was just like, we're just going to drive it out there and we're going to drive it around. And we're like having a bike. And I mean, he mentioned already
He
that
said,
like
like having
that
a
was
bike.
yeah, like you just like come up and go.
Yeah.
It's like,
Super easy.
Super easy. And he
Why don't we all
thought
have
that
cars?
like, oh, well, Pancake Playhouse, like that basically runs itself. That's old hat at this stage. So, I'll help with set up Pancake Playhouse and that's going to run itself. And then I'm going to do this art car. And then we get into the year that Jay ran 2 Burning Man camps.
I'm looking forward to hearing that. 1 second though, I want to go back. So you said it started with DJ Collective and this art car. How many DJs? About-ish?
At that time at the beginning, it was me, Edmundo, and Jessica Stanell.
Okay.
Edmundo called me first, and I called Jessica first.
So 3 of you.
3 of us.
And then support people like April and...
Totally. I just mean DJ.
Yeah.
Just specifically DJs.
The DJ part.
As far as like original kind of like leaders, April was definitely the 4 of the original kind of leaders of the Airpusher Collective.
Yeah.
And then so for the concept art, who illustrated that? Who designed that?
April had contacts in the video game arts industry,
Okay.
and she was a project manager, and so she got a guy to do the concept art. It was beautiful.
Super cool.
It was beautiful concept art.
So this is 2013-ish, 14-ish?
Yeah.
14-ish? Okay. So tell us about the development of the art car. How did that build go in the coming year?
It was so terrible. It was so terrible. It was so much work.
Yeah.
I had no idea how much work it was going to be.
I mean, you asked about like the engine. He said they took it out a week before they arrived on the playa the first year. It was not in the truck. It was lying on the ground next to it.
A week before the burn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In our infinite wisdom, we paid a guy $500 to replace the engine on a truck.
Okay.
And
That sounds safe.
yeah. And of course, he had other things to do that, were better uses of his time and money. So he's like, I'll get to it. Yeah, I'll get to it. Totally. I'm going to get to that. And it was a week before the playa. Like, we have no engine in our car. That kind of sums up the first year of Airpusher. It was just like a bunch of dumb decisions.
But the engine got on there, right? You got the car out there.
It got in there. Honestly, it was a minor miracle that thing drove to the playa.
drove.
It was a minor miracle. I have no idea how that thing made it. It was held together by duct tape and zip ties, and it had no business getting over 80. How it was operated.
The exhaust pipes weren't actually hooked up until about a year and a half later by myself.
Oh my God.
The gas tank didn't work right. You only could get the top quarter of the gas from the gas tank. So you were just constantly running out of gas. The gauge didn't work. And then, of course, the thing got like 2 miles to the gallon. So just getting anywhere, you would just have to stop every half hour to get gas.
Oh my!
I remember Edmundo reporting in as he was driving that thing a couple times and stalled and break down, and he'd figure out how to get it back up on its feet, on its wheels again, and keep going. But it was hit or miss. It was
Mostly
like
miss.
Yeah.
That gas tank can't be iterated enough. It literally traveled with 15 5-gallon gas cans on the ship, and every 20 miles you had to stop and put one of those gas cans in the ship, and every hour you had to get off the freeway and fill all those gas cans up again.
Yeah.
And then going over the pass was even worse. I remember thinking in the middle of the night, we're driving the ship, and the side of the road, what do you call that? The road. The shoulder. That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you. We're pulled off in the shoulder to put gas in the tank, and of course the gas tank is on the side closer to the road, and there are semi trucks going by with a foot, a couple feet in between the person pouring gas into the tank, and I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, I'm gonna die on my way to Burning Man. This is how I die.
Stupidest way to die ever. Yeah. What am I doing in my life that I'm just gonna die like this?
Yeah, it can't be safety third on the drive there. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and yet here we are.
Did you have obviously not mechanics, but anybody who was mechanically inclined on the team?
That first year, kinda.
Yeah.
Because the reason I ask is I've always been
yeah. Cody, Jeremy, and Poppy was second year.
Okay.
He was in first year. Now, Poppy was great, but he wasn't there that first year.
I just feel like every art car I've ever seen, everybody I've seen running an art car, they're tinkering with it the entire fucking burn.
Yep.
And every time I look at it, I'm like,
this is point number one, most important art car lesson that people need to know. And I mean, none of us can even begin to count how many times we've had this exact conversation. The tendency is to have a broken down piece of shit and go, oh, I can turn that into art and I'll bring it to Burning Man. The base vehicle is the absolute most important part of any art car ever. Yeah. You should start with a brand new vehicle that works perfectly, or really actually an older diesel with very few moving parts and everything being mechanical.
Yeah.
And build up from there. But people tend to kind of do that in the reverse, and then such as your experience where you're working on it the entire time.
You know what it is? It's like the guys at the gym who never work out their core but have giant arms.
Yeah, and little chicken legs.
Yeah.
Yeah. The advice I like to give people that want to know about owning an art car is
Don't do it.
Don't
That's the first
put that
number
ball
one
and
rule,
chain
which is
around your
actually
ankle.
don't do an art
Yes,
car.
right. Okay, you're correct.
Don't
That's
build
on top
I
of the
stand
previous
corrected.
rule. Don't go to Burning Man. Don't do it. So I'm assuming you learned some lessons that year.
Yeah, yeah, I'd say. Well, yeah, I guess.
We're
Yes.
still here.
Yeah, totally. So did I actually learn them, or did I just sign up for more bullshit?
The question
I don't
is
know.
always in the air.
So fun fact: we ended year one with no art car. It broke down so hard that we had to leave it in Gerlach. The wheels fell off. We actually sheared the lug nuts, and on the last day, or Friday of burn week, the wheels just actually fell off.
Oh my God.
And the whole ship almost flipped over, but it got saved by the subwoofer cabinets under it. Mayan Warrior, that was their first year also, they came out with a forklift and helped us out, and we literally welded the wheels back onto the stud, which is a
Wow.
big no-no. Then it just stopped starting at all, so we couldn't even start it. So we left it in Gerlach, had to tow it there. We came back with no ship and $10,000 in debt.
Oh my God. Did you? I mean, I feel like this is usually the point in the interview where I get this story. Did you have like that fluffy, beautiful experience at some point on Playa? Like, this is why we did this. Here's this incredible experience.
Nope.
You looked down upon the crowd and they were all cheering for you.
This is usually the reason people come back the following year.
That was
What's
maybe
wrong
what,
with
year
you?
3?
No, I think I remember not last year, the year before. So we're talking 2017. I think I remember him having that. This is why we do this.
It took 6 years.
Four,
took 5
4 or
years.
5 years to get there. So we're definitely masochists a little bit.
Yeah.
No, and I mean, like, and that's not entirely true, right? Like, there wasn't like a moment, but there was no bond tighter than the bond between the crew that year. Like, the more shit that you go through,
Absolutely.
the tighter it brings you. So those of us who were there that year, we still sit around and like talk shit about how terrible it all was, right?
Yeah.
But we made it through, and after that year, we hustled and we got the ship back, and we paid everyone off, so we weren't in debt anymore, and the ship was a little less shittier the next year and a little less shittier the next
Yeah.
year. I mean,
Until you reach baseline.
yeah, can I tell you something else about that first year? The ship was so ugly. The only place I wanted to be was on the ship, because then I couldn't see it. It was
God.
so hideous.
And it was like the DMV were so underwhelmed when we showed up. They were just like,
This is an art car, right?
he's talking about this double balloon concept art that we sent off. It was really beautiful. And we show up with that ship, and they were like,
Can we do links in this podcast
Absolutely.
when this goes
Yeah,
up?
yeah. I want all
Okay.
the links afterwards.
Okay, I want to link
Yeah.
you with the original concept art
Absolutely.
and what Airpusher looked like the first year. It is hilarious. It is so ugly.
Yeah.
It's so terrible.
It's
Oh
like
my
those
God.
what are those like Pinterest things where they're like you're trying to make like a frozen cookie and then like the actual cookie what it looked like.
Yeah.
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 In theory and in practice.
Yeah. So what tell me about the following year. I mean, like obviously you rallied the troops, and then did people look at your first year, like other DJs go like, yeah, I'm gonna join this collective? Like, did you add people to the collective, or was it still the three of you for the next couple of years?
Well, see, the thing that I kind of realized really early on is I didn't want to make it all about the DJs and the music.
Right.
I never really felt comfortable being like, hey, my music's so awesome. All these other people just hang out and just like do work for me and like make my stage, and we're going to rock Burning Man with my sick beats.
Yeah.
So really early on, I was like, well, I'm not going to be comfortable rallying people to join this if it's just a DJ thing. So
Sure. You want to get
what
them a
else?
strong
What else? What
baseline.
else is it going to be? I'm really passionate about community. Let's kind of really. I mean, I'm not taking credit for this. Not like that was my idea, but that was a rallying point. The community was really important to everyone, and then we were also making art. And that was really important. So very quickly it became kind of like three things. The music and the DJs, yes, but also us making art. Right now, that it was a steampunk airship, didn't always have to be that thing. Right. And then the community of people who were doing the thing. So it's got three equal pieces.
Did you at that time have a vision, like as a group, yourself or as a group, of what the Airship Collective has become?
Yes and no. We always wanted it to be self-sustaining. Mm-hmm. And that was probably the hardest thing to accomplish, but we have, which is amazing. Yeah. So we always wanted, like, okay, we'll have this really awesome piece of art that people will value so much they will pay us to bring it to places. And then we will also be able to throw events which people will value and give us money to come out, and we will use this money to build more art. Yeah. And the continuity between everything is the community. So now the community has some place to go and party together at the parties, and they also have something to do and grow their skills as far as the building. And that was really like the first year. I remember Edmundo and I were like, yeah, man, we're going to have this thing come out. People are going to pay us to go to parties and shit. And it was so ugly. I was like, this is never going to work. but that intention was there from the beginning.
Yeah. How long? So let's move forward a couple of years. Was there a year that it became acceptable to you as an art car, that you wanted to look at it?
Yeah. It was the first year of the inflatable balloon.
Okay. That was 3 years into it?
And then, Faye, you were part of that.
Yeah, tell us about the development of that. How did that come about?
The inflatable balloon?
Yeah.
All right. I will say, I don't take credit for a lot of shit. I'm trying not to take credit for a lot of shit, seriously. This whole thing was built by a lot of people, a lot more talented than me. The one thing I will take credit for is the inflatable fucking balloon. Because that was my idea from the very beginning, was to have an inflatable balloon. And the people who knew how to build shit were like, that's never going to work. Inflatable balloons, it'd be a sail on the playa. It's going to blow the ship over and kill everybody. No, we're not going to do that. And so the first couple years we had this metal exoskeleton balloon, which just took like literally 3 days to set up. Like 3 days of 5-person crew working like 4 or 5 hours a day. So we all realized that was too much work. And we have this amazing Airpusher who is a sculptor and an architect. His name is Gabe, and he knows a lot about design. And so he led us through like a design process where we're like, okay, we're going to replace the balloon. What are we going to replace it with? We know what doesn't work. And so he led like a 10-person team, and we just sat in a room, put ideas on a board. Just no idea was wrong, right? Just throw ideas up. And then you have design criteria. Okay, ease of setup, durability, cost, etc. And then he would rate all the ideas against those kind of values. And what came out was the balloon was one of the top vote getters. And so we contracted a professional inflatables maker named Inflatabil, who built the balloon. Gabe designed it on his 3D software, and fucking A, it's fucking worked. It hasn't blown the ship over yet. It's been amazing.
Yeah.
I remember being very concerned. We were all very concerned that first year because it could theoretically be a very large sail. It's 20 feet tall and 50 feet long, and it's fabric essentially. And I do remember that, kind of speaking of aha moments, that first like real big windstorm that we were in, and the balloon didn't blow the ship over, and it held its shape, and we were just dancing around in the dust and practically crying with joy at like, our balloon stays put. Like, to a certain extent there's like a part where it's dangerous just to the balloon itself because it could get damaged where we have to bring it down.
That was going to be my question. Was that taken into account, like an engineering approach, or was it like, let's just hope it doesn't fall over?
Yes. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to say that all engineering calculations and safety precautions were put on the table beforehand. I'm not going to say that. But the Inflatabil and Gabe, the architect, and myself, who actually doesn't know anything about anything, we all were just like, you know what? It's probably going to be fine. It's like, sails are engineered. They're specifically designed to catch the wind, and they have anchor points at certain points strategically to be able to impart that force to whatever they're attached to. And this is a totally different design. So I can't say that I did any actual math or knew anything, but there was a theory among a faction of us that it was probably going to be fine.
Yeah.
And for the record, the ship also has large outriggers on it, so that if something were to, like a wheel to fall off, or the balloon to become a sail, it still won't tip over. It'll.
Yeah,
just
there was active work done to be like, okay, well, if something goes wrong, we have these things in place. Like that first time we were with the balloon, we had that net. So it was like, we just had like clips and straps and everything to hold it on, and like a way to, we train everyone on how to inflate and deflate the balloon. So we're like, in case of emergency and it gets really windy and you think it's going to be dangerous, this is how you take it down, and this is how you take it down real fast.
Yeah.
So, we think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. As long as you're thinking about it, I'm satisfied. It sounds like that fluffy moment that I was asking about happened that year.
Yeah, I guess so. This is Goldfish #1 talking. So
Yeah.
It's
That year-ish.
I struggle to remember things, but I do remember. So that year. So if we're talking about kind of Burning Man lore and history, do you remember that really, really, really stormy year where it stormed in Gateline and the whole Gateline got shut down? And it was like super cold, and there was almost like a tornado. It was bananas. That was the first year of the inflatable balloon, where it stormed every other day. It was ridiculous. I had never seen a year like that before or since. Yeah, and that was the first year of the inflatable. So we're like, oh my God, this crazy, terrible luck. We just didn't take it out with the balloon up most of the year. And it was Friday night, and we really wanted to take it out. We had this like event that we really had to get to on the other side of the playa. We're like, oh, we really want to go to this event. And for those who go to Burning Man a lot, know the weather often shifts at sunset. And sometimes it's stormy in the day, and then the sun sets and everything gets calm at night. This happens a lot. And so that was starting to have a super stormy day, and the sun was setting, and it was like a break in the weather. I'm like, oh my God, guys, this is it. We're totally going to do it. We're totally going to set it up. Let's go. Let's set it up. We're going to take it across the playa. It's going to be so great. And the calm lasted like literally 10 minutes. Yeah. And then storm just came right back. But I was personally at the point where I was like, I don't care. Like it's Friday. Just fucking do this. It's either going to blow us down or not. I want to know. I'm sick of being a chicken in this fucking weather. Let's go. What do you got? Let's see what we have here. And so it literally took us 2 hours because we didn't have the proper inflation techniques at the time. We've since improved our inflation techniques. But it took us 2 hours to get the balloon inflated because of the wind blowing the air back out. But we got it inflated in a storm. And that was like, fuck yeah. All right, this thing, we can do it. We're not going to kill anybody. We're not going to kill ourselves. We're great.
What was the event? Do you remember?
Yes, I do remember. It was the first Fantasy Island party with the Playa Surfers. This guy Stone is a really awesome builder, and he's built the Savage Island, which is this mega, mega, mega island on a bus. By surface area, it might be the biggest art car at Burning Man. It's just huge. Wow. So we really wanted to go over there and party with them.
Yeah.
I thought we went to Duck Pond after that, didn't we?
We went to Duck Pond before for DJ Dan. That was in the afternoon.
Okay. Yeah.
Stone is also the builder, just for the record, of the one-eyed monster. Round one with the kind of long neck and the big eyeball on the top.
Yeah, shouts out to Stone. Stone's awesome. He's in LA. If you're around LA, look out for Stone and his collective. They're doing a new Savage Island this year. So look for some events, some fundraisers over there, and support him because he's great.
Yeah. That sounds like somebody else we should be getting on the show eventually. Yeah,
absolutely. Do it.
We'll put you in contact.
Totally. All right. So that was like a year that you felt some level of success, it sounds like. Tell me more about like the development, like what's happening in the collective at this time. Are you starting to develop like other parts of the collective? Is it, the DJs and the art car still? What's happening?
That's a great question. I'll pass that to Carissa.
Oh. Yeah, it's an interesting time in the collective because the things with the art car have kind of settled down. The mechanics are a bit more stable. It doesn't break down as much. We have the art a little bit more dialed in. And in the meantime, all this crazy stuff has been happening, but there's been a portion of the crew that has been really dedicated to making this thing sustainable and work from a money perspective. Because how do we take all this money, have it come in, and then we're a total democracy. So no one person owns this money, and there's no big funder that's coming in and giving us a bunch of money. So we raise all of it. And there's, 15, 20, 30 people that are spending this money. And how do we delegate that? How do we determine what's coming in, what's going, and what do we spend money on?
How are you raising it until then?
So we've always been, in the beginning, there was a couple Indiegogo fundraisers, but mostly through events.
Okay.
And then slowly, as we've dialed in the art, we have started being invited to events and things. So companies will pay us to bring it out to their
Right.
events and stuff, which has been amazing. But now we have this situation where before it was just kind of like, money come in and put out this fire over there and put out that fire over there. And it was a bit crazy. So this group of 3 members of our crew, Anne, Anna, and Vicky, founded the board of Airpusher. And their job was to
Get shit in order.
Get shit in order. Yeah.
Make decisions
Yeah.
on the
To
money.
caretake the finances.
Yeah.
And so they created this budgeting structure. We go through a voting process every year where we decide what we want to spend our money on. And, last year we went through the process and it was like they determined all of our overhead costs and laid it out and was like, this is how much it costs us to run for the year. And after we have all that, what do we have money coming in? Like, what are our projected income and revenue for the year? So they'll work with our events team and say, we're going to throw this party and we think it's going to make this much money. And we think that party's going to make this much money. So we kind of had an idea of what our finances are going to look like for the year. And last year we were like, okay, so after all that, we have 0 money to do anything fun. That's sorry guys. We're going to pay, we're going to survive, and that's it.
No fun allowed.
No fun allowed. But because we had this structure in place, we actually got invited to do a couple more events we weren't expecting. And we had a few more revenue streams come in, and we ended up having more money at the end of the year than we thought we were going to have.
Yeah.
So we actually ended 2018 in the black, which I don't know that we've ever done before. So it was really amazing. So I joined the board.
I'm sorry, I just want to interject one thing there. It's super interesting. We were describing about like once you have like the basic infrastructure, the things in place, a lot of times people that are working on any kind of project, like they're just like drowning, right? You're just trying not to drown. And there's definitely a pattern over the years that I've observed with all kinds of projects is that once you actually get the baseline, you can kind of trust that there are cooperative components in the universe waiting for you to work with you. You're just not aware of them. Like if you can have a clean store and open the door, like there are customers that want to come in. You just might not know they're there until you clean up your store and open up the door.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's an important moment in the development.
It's super important. I mean, it's allowed us to have this stability to work from. And so
A baseline.
Jay wanted to say?
Yeah, I just want to add a quick corollary to that. That is 100% true, but the reverse is also true.
Yeah.
That it's a huge rallying point to put out fires. We're like, we are all in this together. If we don't all give 110%, it's going to go off the rails and be terrible. And that brings people together. I never really realized how much that brings people together, like until we were stable.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people were just like, yeah, well, this doesn't need my help.
Yeah.
I'm out of here. So that I just want to say that the opposite of that is also true.
That is spot on. Yeah. So continue. You were describing.
Oh, yeah. So I joined the board last spring. And so, I've been working with them in this past year to update, like they were just scrambling to make a structure. And so now we're in this period where we get to fine tune the structure and make it better. And it feels really amazing to be in a place where our biggest concern right now is like, hey, how can we fine tune our bookkeeping practices?
Yeah.
And like, we're not in a hurry because we have enough money to get us through, to the end of the year. But, what do we want to do? We want to do an art project. We want to spend money on making a new thing on the ship. Do we want to build a new art project? What do you guys want to do with this extra money that's coming in? And to be able to say we have money to do that is really amazing.
Had you always had like the web presence where you had a website where like members of the collective are listed, like it's branded? Or was that a more recent development?
We've had a website pretty much since the beginning, the whole time. Okay. Yeah, a couple of the members of the crew were web designers, and so just threw together a website for us. So it's one of those things that actually falls by the wayside a bit. Our website hasn't been updated in a while, and all these other important things are always happening. There's that event and that event, and so it doesn't always get frequently updated, but it's there.
Susan's raising her hand.
Yeah, I'd like to hear about the development of the Steampunk Masquerade Ball. And I remember the first one. It was so successful, the very first one. And it's coming up now. So now's a good time to promote it for people to hear about it and maybe even go to the next one.
Yeah. Thanks for teeing us
in
up.
10 days.
Suze, 10 days. It's coming up quick now. Time flies. That's really interesting perspective that you felt that the first Steampunk Masquerade was a really successful event.
It was for me so much fun. There's so much to do, and it's just, I thought, really, really great.
That feels great, because that might have been the biggest trash fire of an event that I have ever helped produce. For those who don't know, the Steampunk Masquerade is a big arts and music big arts and music event that Airpusher puts on once a year. It came out of NIMBY, the makerspace where we currently are for the next few more months, but we're leaving, unfortunately. NIMBY is being asked to leave, the makerspace is being priced out of the Oakland market.
Jeez.
That's a whole subject for another podcast, basically the legalization of marijuana.
Every time I come up here, I'm recording somewhere where they're describing about the makerspace being shut down, and we're like some of the last things that are happening in there.
Yeah. It's really sad.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like an unintended consequence of the legalization of marijuana. Is now you have all these like people out there that have a lot of money and need warehouse space and are willing to just pay cash for 2-3 years worth of rent, double whatever the rent was.
That is fascinating.
And the landlord's like, great, I don't have to deal with these artists. I can just get cash for 2 years up front. Sold.
Yeah.
Guys, get out of here. So there's no protections put in place for the artists. So that's just kind of is what it is in our
as a
capitalist
landlord, if I
society.
don't have to manage a bunch of artists, I don't blame them.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I totally understand that.
Sure.
I mean, we have hit the building with our airship before, so I don't blame them for not wanting to deal with us. Yeah. But it kind of sucks. So anyway, the first Steampunk Masquerade was at NIMBY. One of the great things about NIMBY is there's just almost 20 years of art just thrown around the place. Snook, the owner, he is a hoarder and
Collector.
Collector.
And it's great when you're just want to have a party or peruse the space, because there's all this crazy art from decades everywhere. So when you do an event there, it's just like, oh, look at this thing. Oh, look at this thing. Oh, yeah, look at this thing. And people, it's home to like maybe 60, 70 artists. And they like, oh, party. Oh, I want to show my art. So they all come out and they all show their art. The event was able to have a really big impact, I feel, because it was at NIMBY and all this art was there and all this energy was there. And it was really fun. We had no idea really what we were doing. From the production standpoint, it was a total shit show. I almost died 3 times during the event, but it happened, and apparently it was enjoyed by people, and so we've been doing it ever since. It came about because we're like, we need to raise a bunch of money right now. Let's throw a big party, and we're very happy that it has continued for the last 6 years, and year 7 is coming up.
And currently in 2019, producing events is one of the best things that we do as a collective.
Yeah, I would agree.
True that.
Yeah, describe that transition. Like let's get into modern day Airpusher Collective. Like where are you now? Like what is the Airpusher Collective now? We've gotten the history. But like now you're working with
Yeah,
a variety
so
of things.
now I think each of the individual pieces can have a little bit more time and space because, as Crystal was saying, we're not putting out fires, so we can have time to focus. So I myself, I've done a lot of different stuff for the collective, but my passion is in the event space, going back to what I was doing before Airpusher, before I even went to Burning Man. I was starting events. So I really like doing that. And so now that I don't need to do all this other stuff, I have really enjoyed being able to focus more on the event side. So we do one big event a year, which is Steampunk Masquerade. We do maybe 3 or 4, no, probably like 5 or 6 other club nights, and we've been able to kind of define the Airpusher event brand, which is kind of bringing art, interactive experiences, performance from around the bay, from the playa to people here, along with really good music and a kind, open-hearted community. That's kind of like what the mix that really works well for Airpusher events. A lot of times we have fun, exciting themes, like we do a sparkle party, obviously Steampunk Masquerade, everyone dresses up in steampunk attire, but we can also just do one-off dance events as well.
Yeah. What do you envision all of this going? Like, do you want to utilize the collective more, like for other than events? Is the brand developing in other ways to, I don't know, to put other things out into the world?
For me, my perspective, I see other events with Airpusher including themselves in it. So if there's a big event happening, somehow Airpusher is involved, either with the Airpusher itself being present. They are very hardworking, and they show up to a lot of events. And those are fundraisers for other camps and villages and art cars and whatever, and Burning Man events as well. Yeah. You guys are everywhere. It's great.
Yeah, we did actually just this last year throw an event called Future Formal that was for the org itself. We were asked to produce that for them. They came to us saying, your strong suit is producing parties, and would you like to partner with us on this? Really? And we said yes, and it was wildly successful. So who knows? Maybe that'll lead to more stuff.
Yeah, it was the after party for their autumnal. So, the Burning Man organization locally here in the San Francisco Bay, they do 4 big events a year. Burning Man autumnal is the one for kind of like the more big ticket spenders. It's like a $500,000 a plate dinner show thing, and they have an art auction. So it's a very small pool of people that generates a lot of money. But then they also, because they're Burning Man, they want to be radically inclusive. So they want to have other people who might not have the means to attend the dinner portion be able to party with everybody that night. And so that's led to this kind of like 2-tiered event where they have the art show first and they have the party second, and it's just overwhelming for their team. So they reach out to our team, say, hey, you guys produce the party part, and we'll have all the people go there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that really kind of does go in line with what I really want Airpusher events to be about, is to be able to generate money for art. So Airpusher events is all nonprofit stuff. Like, we played around with paying ourselves to do these events, and the formula never really worked. So what we settled on now is like small stipends for leadership. It's like no one could do this for their job,
right?
But
you're literally making about $3 an hour on these stipends.
Yeah, but that makes it a lot easier to raise money.
Yeah.
And so right now that money is going back into Airpusher Collective for the art that we build. I would like to see a point where we generate enough money to embark on another art project, something else that we can bring to the burn. But we also
a new art car?
Not an art car.
Back to that whole glutton for punishment
Definitely not. I'm a slow learner and thick-headed, but I am not building another art car.
But you have 2 ankles for 2 balls and chains.
No.
About an actual blimp.
Right. Totally. But we've a couple times we've partnered with other people and helped throw parties for them, and that's also stuff that I like to do.
Right. So that's actually this is a question. It's kind of like a philosophical question, if you will. Was it like kind of I don't know, coincidence that things played out this way that they did, or is there a value to having this like totem that you've built the community and the events around, like the art car? Like if things were flipped around, like if you knowing what you know now about the world, if you could go back in time, would you have just skipped the art car and gone into a more event production, or is the art car an important part of this community building?
I mean, I think it's a very important part of the community because not everyone in our community cares about event production. I think it's this piece that we rally around that allows everyone to dive in where they care, like what excites them. And some people have come along and been good at woodworking or welding or auto mechanic stuff, and they can contribute in that way. And other people are good at maybe don't have art skills or event production skills, but are good product or project management, or are good at organization and things like that, and they contribute in that way. And this kind of structure, instead of it just being centered around one thing, allows us to have this thing that we all center around, and we can all find ways to contribute, and that's best for us. And then I think the other piece that's kind of ties it all together is this shared struggle or this shared experience that we go through. And so bringing the ship to the playa, I mean, it's a hassle and it's a lot of work, and it's this thing we all work on, and we get there and we're like, oh God. And then people come up to the ship with their eyes wide, and you look at them and you're like, do you want to come up? And they just like look like they're, oh my God, you just made my day. I get to go on an art car, like what? And people are so happy and they're so excited, and you feel amazing. And it's one of the greatest gifts that I've been able to give on the playa is saying to someone, come on onto our car. And so I think we all experience that together, the experience of giving this gift, and it brings the airship very close to our hearts. So I think we all have a great deal of love for it, even though we have maybe a little bit of hate for it too.
Go ahead.
Kind of a side point on that, one of the things that really drew me in the beginning, and one of the things I'm just really proud of about us, is Airpusher is always rooted in everybody is welcome, with a small caveat to creepy douchebags, of course, obviously, but we try to be as open and loving as we can all the time. And I think that vibe is just really felt at our events and through the ship. And it's just important.
Yeah, well, that's what I actually wanted to ask. What do you feel is your strength in event production? Like, what is it that the Airpusher Collective is really good at? We don't have to dump on other people, but like, what is it that you guys excel at that makes you people that, like, for example, the org called out and said, hey, you're really fucking good at this. We should partner with you.
Yeah, so super fun story about that. I'm going to get to your question. The org did note that we were good at events, but the number one reason why they partnered with us was actually not our event production. It was actually because we had a sterling and well-known reputation around Burning Man for inviting people onto the airship.
Ah, interesting.
They told us that at the meeting.
Yeah.
It blew me away. I don't know if you saw the recent communique that went out about art cars and about how they're having problems and people aren't being welcoming. That's one thing that we have all been very passionate about since the very beginning of Airpusher. Is like, we want to be that art car that welcomes everybody. I had never ridden on an art car in 10 years of going to Burning Man before I started Airpusher. I'd never really ridden on an art car just because it's hard and a hassle, and people just shit on you when you try to do it. So it was very rewarding to be able to be appreciated in that way.
Yeah, and I'm going to note on that, actually. I can tell you from like years of doing this show and having a lot of these conversations, sometimes you see like, the community like grab their pitchforks angry at the org for this thing or that thing. My experience has been that behind the scenes, they're pretty constantly trying to like positively reinforce the good behavior in the community without like, igniting like mob mentality about the things that are not necessarily the best parts of what's happening. So a lot of times I feel like when you see a situation where like, they are like publicly saying like, all right, we're no longer supporting this particular camp, it's been building up for a while. Generally what I've observed is that they try to do more like the positive reinforcement on things and kind of like let the community figure things out on their own. So I appreciate the story. I think it's interesting because it's something that I hear pretty often.
Totally.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, what is it about Airpusher events or Steampunk Masquerade that's awesome, different, unique? Well, what we try to do is we don't try to have monoculture at our event. So Airpusher events, it's not just a techno party, or it's not just a band, or it's not just come and look at this art piece, but we try to really pull the best from all these different areas, all the things that make Burning Man fun and engaging. But we also can curate. So one of the things about Burning Man events, just Burning Man events, is they really support amateurism, which is great because that's what Burning Man's about, right? It's a bunch of people that don't know what they're doing, just throwing shit together, and sometimes it's amazing, and sometimes it's hilarious, and sometimes it's both of those things, and sometimes it's terrible. And that's their vibe, and that's what it should be, right? But I think what we can offer is a more curated experience. I don't try to say that in a douchey way. But we know what really good dance music is. And so we're going to bring really good dance music to our events, which is actually really hard to find at Burning Man. Right. And we have a huge community. And this is part of what has been super awesome about Faye coming in and helping us with this. We have a great community of performers that can do these really awesome shows that are like, you know what, I'm not doing this for free. So we pay all of our performers, which is something they don't do at Burning Man events, right? And then we can pick certain artists from the community, like, we really love your installation, come out, and we can support that artist and give them money for their art, which is kind of hard for these big installations to go out places. So that's kind of, we try to have that middle ground vibe where you still have a lot of different kind of experiences, but all of them are great. And then of course there's the open-hearted fun vibe, which is what it's really all about.
How do you, I don't know if there's any effort made to this, like, how do you keep from just like physically burning out from the amount of work you put?
Well, Jay doesn't sleep.
He just started cracking up. By the way,
And
listeners,
he's a
you can't
robot who just can keep going and going. He's like the Energizer Bunny. And the rest of us all get tired and take naps. And then we're like, wow, Jay's still working. Okay, I'm going to do some more stuff. And then Jay still's working. And then we take naps. And then
our crew does tend to be pretty fluid.
Yeah.
People, as needed, just take breaks for a season and then come back in. We've all done it, except for Jay.
Except for Jay. No, we all kind of leave room and space for each other to not make it their entire life. So if you say, you know, like, I'm really overwhelmed by my personal life right now, and I don't have time for this, we're like, take a step back.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Go do something else. Come back when you're ready. You know, and sometimes people don't come back. They find other projects they move on to that they're more excited about. And like, that's cool. They're still part of the community. Still come to our events. Still come help us with work days and events and stuff. Like, you're always welcome. And so it kind of, we have this like core community, but we also now have this huge extended core community. So it just, we leave space, I think.
Yeah. I understand that you're currently an LLC, but there's discussion of building a nonprofit. Is that correct?
Correct.
Can you talk about that? What the thought behind it is? Why go nonprofit?
Yeah, I mean, it was not my idea, but I am now helping carry the torch to bring that into fruition. So
you just described a lot of Burning Man. It wasn't my idea, but now I'm fucking stuck with it.
Yeah. So I'm going to do my best to describe where the idea came from, but you know, to the people who actually came up with the idea, if it's wrong, I'm sorry. But from my understanding, like, we don't operate as a for-profit business. Nobody makes any money off of this. We actually operate more of a nonprofit and closer to. And so as a nonprofit, you know, you would not pay taxes. Like, right now we have to pay taxes on all this money we make, even though no individual is profiting off of this business.
Right.
So a nonprofit is actually just closer to the model that we operate under. And it just makes a bit more sense for us to, and especially if we pay less in taxes, then it cuts our overhead a bit and makes all this work we do take a little bit of pressure off. So we don't have to work so hard just to keep things going.
Just to stay afloat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's more along the lines of the values that we espouse and how we operate as a collective. We chose an LLC in the beginning because that was the easiest structure to protect the individuals who would otherwise be owning these assets. So none of us wanted to buy the Airpusher steampunk airship and have that be in our name, and then we get into an accident, and then we're liable for that. So the Airpusher LLC owns all of the assets, and it's also easier that way when we do events. All the event money runs through the LLC, but the goal of a company usually is to maximize profits, but that's not what our goal is. Our goal is to enrich our community. All of the money that comes from the events that we generate either goes into art that we give away in Burning Man, or into our Burning Man camp, or to overhead, like Chris has said, to pay rent on the airship and that kind of stuff. So,
and you guys, you said that you already were, you're describing it earlier as a democracy. Like there already was like a board. Is that correct? So you were kind of operating like a nonprofit, even though the legal entity was an LLC?
The board the board was actually created at the same time that they wanted to become a nonprofit. So they created the board with the vision that we're going to create the structure and eventually develop it into a nonprofit. So it was done on purpose.
Interesting. Yeah. You said that like year 6 or 7 was when you remember being that moment that Jay had.
I mean, I do. That's my specific memory of his experience of him being like,
I want to hear that
yes.
story. I want to hear that story. I want to know about it. I want to know about that night, that day.
Do you know what I was referring to? In my reference was to Fantasy Island, when all the pieces came together.
Oh man, that was a fucking party.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the first moment, but it was definitely a huge moment. Lightning in a bottle, just like, this is why we fucking do this. This is what I wanted to do for 15 years. So actually this dovetails very nicely on a previous story that I told. The first year of the balloon, during the crazy Friday night dust storm where we set the balloon up for the first time because we really wanted to make this event, and we took it across Playa. And of course that night there was no one there. Like, it was a dust storm and everyone was gone. And so we did this 2-hour balloon setup in a storm for no reason. So fast forward the very next year, I think it was, right? We're still in touch with Stone. He's bringing the island, the Savage Island, back out. And we had this long email thread before the burn coordinating, you bring this booze, you bring this ice, you show up at this time, these DJs are going to play here. No, we want these DJs, blah, 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 whatever. If you ever coordinated an event on the Playa, you know how this goes. So it was a bunch of work and it was stupid, but we're like, we're going to fucking do this. We're going to actually party on this island. I have been seeing this island since its inception. I have always loved that island, and I've always wanted to do a party on that island. I think it was around like 3 or 4 years before Airpusher was a thing. Yeah. It's a really cool island. And so this fucking year, everything worked. Like, everything worked. We took the ship out there. It didn't break down. It was not windy. It was sunny and beautiful. It was just a Friday afternoon. We're right on the Esplanade, so like right off the Esplanade, like 4 o'clock in Esplanade.
Oh, and I was going to add, it was the year that it was really hot. It was ridiculously
it was that hot year.
And they had got these
misters.
The misters, which were swamp
coolers.
They're giant swamp coolers with like these huge fans. So it was just like spraying cool air onto the dance floor. And then
on the island.
Yeah, and then you guys onto the island, and you guys thought to park the ship next to the island. The island was actually not that great because it was just like on the Esplanade in the hot sun. But then they parked the ship so that the balloon was shading the dance floor. And it was just like...
And they had this amazing sound system on there. They had a bar on the island. And we got there, and within half an hour, just the island was just blowing up. And it was an amazing party. Every DJ that played a phenomenal set. There were people there for hours. And check this out. This never happens. Some lady from some camp was like, this party is so great, I'm going to go get my camp. And she left the island, went 3.5 blocks, rallied her camp, which we all know how long that takes, came back, and the party was still going on. Like, that never happens. Like, the party's always gone or dead or moved on or whatever. Like, it was that kind of vibe. It was that kind of day. It was from like 3 to sunset. Just
it was amazing.
I just remember
that at one point the beat dropped and everybody jumped, and you're on an art car and everybody jumps on an art car and you think this thing is going to fall apart. And it didn't. You were just like, we're not gonna die. This is amazing. We're all in this together.
That literally was the only time in my entire DJ career where I actually had to put on a track to calm the dance floor down. I literally had to do that. I was like, okay, we all might die right now. Let me just dial this back like 2 notches.
Everybody calm down.
Yeah, a little bit. Just a little
Everybody
bit.
party less hard.
Just a little less hard.
Yeah.
Where were you guys? Where were you guys parked?
We were on Esplanade in like 4:30, and Stones. It was Stones Island, obviously the Savage Island, and he also brought his One-Eyed Monster art car over there as well.
Yeah, because the story that I was referencing earlier, I just remembered. It was by Sonic Runway.
Yes.
Great, yeah.
It must have been the second Sonic Runway year.
Yeah, it was.
That you're talking about,
Yeah.
Okay, so you probably had the set from Blackfeld from her Sonic Runway set. That's a great set.
Yes.
It's a great set.
Yeah, it's excellent.
Yeah.
God, great. So your event is coming up. What's the date on it?
It is June 15th.
June 15th.
Outside Public Works. We're actually doing a full street closure this year, so we're having a block party.
Oh, wow.
The entire Erie Street. So we have more space. We're going to be bringing out more Burning Man art. We're going to keep it a secret what art it's going to be. So you'll just have to come and show up and find out. But we're bringing in some super awesome Burning Man art. We're having some amazing DJs play. Faye is going to have a great stage show with all kind of great variety acts. It's going to be a really good time. Honestly, it's been a challenge since we've not done this party at NIMBY. There's just so much ambient awesome at NIMBY. It's just really easy to throw a good party there.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of work to kind of try to recreate that NIMBY / Burning Man / Burner vibe at our events. But we really feel like this year it's going to be perfect.
Beautiful. Yeah. So, and of course, for anybody who's listening to this episode, like after the event's already passed, like they can go to airpushercollective.com and kind of stay up to date on future events, things like that. So.
Yeah, probably our Facebook page is the most active for upcoming events.
Perfect.
Airpusher Collective at Instagram also.
Yep. Airpusher Collective.
And Airpusher Collective on SoundCloud has all of our musics.
Airpusher. It's just Airpusher on SoundCloud.
Pardon me, Airpusher on SoundCloud.
It's okay. All these links will be they're all going to be on the episode info when it goes up. Great, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sitting with me. Thank you for everything you do for the community. As always, thank you so much for the amazing events. Thank you for the art car. Thank you for almost dying a lot in order to get to this interview.
No problem. We're just crazy people.
And thank you so much, Suze, for hosting us and having us
Thanks,
here.
Suze. And before we go, thanks to all the air pushers who weren't here. I know it was just the 3 of us talking. Oh my God, this would not be possible. There's probably been 200 people who have donated something small or something big or lent their skills with like no recognition, no fanfare, no DJ sets. They've just helped because they wanted to help with something crazy and ridiculous and fun. So thank you to all those people throughout all the years. We would not be here without you.
Yeah, and a big shout out to Monica, who wanted to be here today on the talk, but she couldn't come with us. She's spearheads our community events and helps out a lot with the community. So big shout out to Monica.
You'll be on the next one, Monica.
Yeah. You know, whenever I hear the name Monica, I think about that scene in The Fast and the Furious where Ja Rule screams out, Monica! I want to edit that in.
Do it.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
All right. Peace.
You are now listening to the sounds of Captain J. This set was recorded at Burning Man 2018 on Friday afternoon at the Fantasy Island Ibiza themed party. You can hear this and so much more over at soundcloud.com/Captain J. Captain J is actually spelled CPTN-J. He spells it like a millennial. You can go back and you can actually just go to airpushercollective.com and all the links for all of the things will be over there as well. They do have a great website with a ton of info. God, I love it when artists make it easy and have a singular central address that I can send people to. Please give us a like on Facebook. and join the Facebook group. And please, please, please do leave us a review on iTunes. The reviews do help the show grow and gain more support. All of these links are over at burnerpodcast.com. You can find me on all the social medias at Mr. Arash. That's MRARASH. If you are sending a friend request, please do shoot me a message so I know that you're not a spam bot. And do let me know if you have any interesting interview subjects in your neck of the woods. Like, for example, they did in South Africa. Maybe I'll come to your country, eat all your cheese, and nap on your abnormally large cat. Our producers are Lee Hemingway and Louis Galapo, with additional support with Tori Massey and Navjeet Sarna. New episodes are up on the first and third Wednesdays of the month-ish, assuming I'm not mid-travel or mid-gig. The show is available pretty much on all the major podcast platforms. If it's not on the one that you really want, please let us know. We're working on Spotify and Google Play. Our opening theme music, America's Horse with No Name Remix, is produced by Joe Man. You can find him over at soundcloud.com/DJ Joe Man. He does have a new album out that he's been promoting. So until next time, love, light, and all that other crap. Take us out, Captain J.
Sodotore mengimbakwe Gimbakwe ngandala mona Sodotore mengimbakwe Gimbakwe ngandala mona Sodotore mengeza Geza kubinga mona Sodotore ngibane mona Sangizile kyale lungeza di Geza mukondangandala mune Dotore ngibane mona Sodotore Sodotore umba kujisonize Sodotore ngibane mona Sodotore mengandalamo Sodotore ngibane mona Sodotore baneka mona baneka mune baneka munanze baneka mune kamone
burnerpodcast.com.